You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the action figure news of the week and toy news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you, and we're going to talk about every single bit and piece of it this week, as there was a lot going on. And there's also, move over Jesse Ventura, there could be a conspiracy in our midst, and we're going to dive into this conspiracy in this very video. I'm all fired up about that, so stay tuned for that. But of course, we're going to kick this video off with a little Patreon update. Of course, it is February, brand new month, brand new Patreon giveaway this month. The brand new top picks, John Cena. There he is, looking good in his Mario-inspired gear, so you guys know all about the Patreon. Early access to videos, bonus content, exclusive content, a lot going on the Patreon channel. Appreciate all you guys supporting on the Patreon channel. But let's dive in. Before we get to the conspiracy theory stuff, let's cover some news this week. And like I said, there's 2 pages of news this week. But let's kick it off with some wrestling stuff. And we did see this last Saturday. Of course, we did toy news last Saturday, but this came out about Saturday night. It was Figure Collections Wrestling Something Wrestlers. So a brand new line. Now, getting up to speed real fast, a short story long maybe, who knows. But Figure Collection, of course, was working with Cella on some distribution on some different things. Well, we all know Cella ceased operations. Wrestling Trader took some of the stuff, but also Figure Collections diving into the game. And I guess this is going to be Figure Collections' their official retro-style wrestling figure line. It's called Wrestle Something Wrestlers. Now, not a big fan of that name. Maybe it'll grow on me. It just doesn't quite roll off the tongue. But they did announce Chelsea Green ×2. Of course, Chelsea, of course, went back to the WWE and was in the Royal Rumble last Saturday. But they must have signed this, of course, had it all ready to go, all that kind of stuff, like we've seen before with other action figure lines. So Chelsea's going to be a 2-in-1 and done, I do presume. We are getting a regular version and a chase version, and these are supposed to ship in March, so right around the corner. I really do like that. I think that is a smart move on the Figure Collections team. So many of these companies across the board, it's waiting a year, it's waiting a year and a half, and we'll talk a little Super 7 later in this video about some of that kind of stuff. But I think that is a good idea. Of course, for the variant collectors out there, you got a variant of Chelsea if you're into that kind of thing. You get her kind of regular wear, you get her major players wear. Choose your own Chelsea Green adventure is what you can do at the end of the day. But they also did announce, no pictures yet, but we will get them. They are making an Effie figure. They are making referee Mike Chioda, so our referee group kind of expands, as we did get, of course, Earl Hebner from Zombie Sailor Toys. Colt Cabana, another no stranger to a lot of these third-party action figure companies, of course. And then we do get Mosh and Thrasher. The Headbanger is a very, very cool one, from one headbanger to another. So the Wrestle Something Wrestlers. It's going to take me a while to memorize that one. A new collection there. Check them out. If you want Chelsea Green, she is up for pre-order right now, but it's supposedly shipping March 2023, so be ready for that one sooner rather than later. And we might as well keep talking the retros while we're talking retros. Of course, Hastel Toys, we talked about last week. A little bit of Godwin's action. Well, we get the second half of the Godwins. We get Dennis Knight. I believe he did say there's going to be at least 2 incarnations of Dennis Knight, so who else could we get? Well, Naked Midian. Bring Naked Midian. We all want a naked retro figure. Make that happen, Hastel Toys. Let's have that happen. I think that makes all the sense in the world right there. But we are getting Dennis Knight, so we will have the Godwins in retro form, so a lot of retro stuff going on. And even more retro figure news, Zombie Sailor Toys. I got my shipping notification for the Toy Fair, New York Toy Fair Sabu, the variant Sabu. So I should have that maybe next week for weekly purchases. We'll see what happens with that one, but we are getting that extra variant Sabu. Should be shipping to you right now. Some of you guys might have it already if you're close to the East Coast, I would say. And then KWK, we've talked about him and his Kamala for a while. We, of course, know Haystacks Calhoun is coming. Got more renders of Kamala, and these look really crazy to me. I mean, they're renders, so I guess they're not quite figures yet, but gosh, they look very, like, realistic. They look like a picture. They don't look like a traditional retro. We're trying to put ourselves in that retro box. This looks a little different here. Some of the articulation's different. Looks a little bit more like a shrunken down human than a retro does, really. But we are going to have 3 different face paint variants, I guess we could call them there with Kamala. And I guess that's going to be for different territories of the world. Like, here's North America's, here's Asia's. I don't know. That sounds confusing, and we've said this before about some of these other toy lines. that's a way to turn people off right away for your buying your properties. I know that happened to me with Cello. Oh, there's all these variants. There's all these different variants all the time. Yes, not everybody is a completionist, but there's a lot of people that want to be a completionist of products, but then all of a sudden you say, oh, I've got 4 of this guy coming out. I'm just going to skip the whole line altogether. And that's kind of what I think sometimes. We'll see what happens with this one. I'm definitely getting 1 Kamala, if that. That's the way I'm going to go with that one. So it's a dangerous, dangerous game when you throw all these variants out. And the next thing you're going to have 5 different Haystack Calhoun variants and going on from there. I just don't know if that's the wisest decision, but to each their own. But that's just my opinion on the matter right there. So now that's the retro talk here. Now let's get into some Power Town. And let's talk, we did miss it last week. I think it was announced later, or I just missed it in the news. But Power Town did announce, of course, Power Town Series 1 coming sooner than later. Be prepared for discussion about that in this video. But we did see Matt Cardona and Brian Myers coming to Power Town. A bit of a head scratcher to me. Now, I understand why they've done this. I put the old business hat on. Steve Rosenthal over there, the Power Town team. Magnum TA is over there as well. Sure, they got the Don Leo Jonathans. They got the Vern Gagnes, the Lou Theszes. They got a lot of those. Lord Littlebrook, probably. He's probably coming to the Power Town collection. They needed some updated blood. Some young blood is what they needed out there in the Power Town. And who better than Myers and Cardona, of course, action figure guys. And guess what? They have a podcast. They're going to talk about their figures. They're going to talk about Power Town every single week. Makes a lot of sense. Doesn't make a lot of sense as far as what the line represents, but makes a lot of sense business-wise. Of course, those will be the most popular figures they sell. And at the end of the day, you got to follow the money. I don't care what we're talking about. Follow the money at the end of the day. That's where it's going to go. So Cardona, Myers, and I got to say, both figures look absolutely awesome. Of course, these are renders, once again. Remember, renders. So they're always going to look better here than the final form. And we've already seen that with Power Town, as we've talked about a couple of weeks ago. But very, very interested to get them in the lineup. Like I said, I do think they will be the best Power Town sellers. There's a big fan base for them. And they're going to get a lot of free publicity for the line because, oh, Power Town Brian Myers, I need that. Well, they're going to search that. They're going to see other stuff. So makes all the sense in the world. I think that is a very, very smart business play, even if it is a little bit of head scratcher because you're going to put Myers and Cardona next to your Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, Lou Thez, and Vern Gagne. It doesn't quite make the most sense in the world, but money-wise, makes a lot of sense. But then we did, of course, see Steve on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast this week. A lot of questions about Power Town. We talked about it last week on the channel. The broken leg gate. They were breaking legs left and right. Something seemed to miss there to me, and I had a lot of questions about that, and they're going to continue here today. But we did hear all about the leg issues from Sam? Now I forget his name. I think it's Steve Rosenthal. We're going to call him Steve, but we're going Steve. We're going aliases. No, I think it is Steve or Sam. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. But he went on the Major Pod this week, of course, and he addressed those quality issues. They are going to redo Series 1. Can you believe that? He says Series 1 is on the boat, of course, coming across the ocean, coming here because it's supposed to be here Q1. If we've been saying, we've been wondering, is it going to really be here Q1? Well, he still hopes Q1 is coming. They are going to redo all of Series 1 figures to fix this leg issue. He wants first impressions to matter. As you guys have heard me say on many videos here, a new item is only new once. If you talk to my organization I work for, people are probably saying, here goes Kyle again, a broken record, a new item's only new once, but it truly is. You have one chance to make a first impression. I don't care if we're talking Frito corn chips or we're talking Power Town figures. You come out with Series 1 and it is the hottest of hot garbage and just breaking, guess what? You're probably not going to have a Series 2 because nobody's going to fool me once. You know, that whole stick right there. So, very interesting. They also announced they are going to fix and put peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Hey, hallelujah, preaching to the choir right there. And then they're going to fix Bruiser Brody's head, which it looked really good with the scars going on, but then they just like basically painted it pink, it looked like. It looked very, very strange. Of course, there are some photos out there where it is a little pink, but that's because he just got done on a hot night of blading the night before. So, that is going to be fixed here. But now, this is where we call our old friend Jesse Ventura.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Of course, Minnesota's own, everybody's favorite governor, Jesse Ventura is coming here. And if you guys remember the Conspiracy Theory show, a great show. Love me some Jesse Ventura. I'm taking the mantle over. I'm taking it from my boy Jesse. And I got Kyle's Conspiracy Theory here. Now, Do I believe this 100%? I'm not sure, but this is exactly what was going through my head when I was hearing the explanations across the board. I think there could be some truths in this thing, and take it for what you will. I'm going to say this is just a conversation starter. I'm not going to put on the antenna hat and all that kind of stuff and saying, guys, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. I truly don't know. I'm just the guy that pays attention to this stuff, and I'm giving you my honest opinion and thinking about some of the questions that are coming up for me. So a little conspiracy time with our old friend Kyle Ventura. We're going to be calling me Kyle Ventura for this segment. But here's my thoughts on this whole Power Town fiasco from the Major Pod. Of course, the Major Pod have them on. Now the Major Pod, they're just not looking as an outsider. They're looking as a business partner. So to me, they're going to give a little bit better deal to the old Power Town team. They're not going to throw them under the bus. We've seen that already once they went on their show and stuff. They started off throwing them on the bus. They really softened. I'd say what you want. They have softened their stance. I get it. They're in bed, I guess you could say, with Power Town, and even more so now that they got figures. So they're a little bit of the mouthpiece, a little bit of way to get the news out. So they've got a little bit to be indulged in all this. We're not going to get 100% of the facts here. That's just my personal opinion once again, so take that for you want. But any publicity is good publicity. We've heard that before many times. It's the conspiracy thoughts here. But any publicity is good publicity. It does make sense. Okay, we get the word out. There's issues with the legs. Well, how are they going to address this? What's going on? Now, I maybe never heard of Power Town, but I've heard there's a little controversy with it. And I think Eric Bischoff told us long ago, controversy creates cash. Maybe they're getting an extra set of eyes in here. They're getting people to pay attention to the brand. What are they going to do? This is a whole, what? They're breaking? What is this about? So, new eyes, and I've seen it online myself. I've had messages in my YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, people saying, what is this Power Town? How did I not know about this? And I said, I've talked about it for months. You know, months ago, we talked about it. But here, right there, with this leg issue, it's making people realize this product is here. It's a way to get their name back out there. So take that what you will. You know, here's the other thing. Here's the thing that really makes me scratch my head. How do you make all these figures? You have a boat full of these figures that have supposedly have left the factory. They're on their way over here. How do you not test these? Quality test your figures. That doesn't make any sense to me. They would catch this at the factory, or the Power Town representative, whoever it may be, would get samples sent to them, and they would check these things out. I gotta think in the factory, they're doing all these tests. I can tell you the food industry, for example, I'm very familiar with. Everything is tests. The line, they're testing everything all the time. Okay, does this fit the dough? Does this fit the size? Does it have enough of this in it? Whatever it may be. They're doing that same thing in factories. You got safety issues, you got health issues, you got quality issues they are checking for all the time. You're telling me they didn't go through like 50 different samples, said we're going to run through the articulation, we're going to drop it on the floor from this height, we're going to drop it on the floor from this height. We're going to find out how these really work and what's going on to protect us from issues like this, protect us from lawsuits. You're telling me they didn't do any of that in the Power Town team? I just can't imagine that, especially the Power Town team, of course, going way back to the Remco days. They've been in the toy industry. They understand how all this goes. They were there in the 80s when there was choking hazards, things like that. There's no way this would be missed. I just do not believe it. And if you're saying, yes, it was missed, what kind of operation are you running if that is the case? I mean, we got to be honest, take that business step back. How do you not check your figures out to make sure you're putting your best foot forward? First impressions matter. We talked about that. An item is only new one time. People get these broke. Man, what's going on? So, very shady there. I just don't know. But then, what this does is, guess what? We're a great company. Power Town. We're Power Town fans first. They're sending the message that they are overly fan-friendly. We understand this whole cargo truck or whole cargo ship is all in bad shape. These are all bad figures. We're canceling it. We're canceling it. You can't tell me they've got all this money for this because they haven't delivered any product. So this is all a liability out here on the ocean on this ship. They're just going to cancel all that, start it over, fire it back up, rerun it all on our own dime. That seems a bit of a stretch to me. So I don't know if things never really did ship. They're saying, hey guys, we said Q1, well now it's going to be the end of May. If this is all a scheme, remember this is conspiracy talk. I'm not sure if this is true. This is conspiracy talk after Jesse Ventura here. Attribute this episode to Jesse Ventura. But did they go over there and say, okay, this is a way to buy us another month of time, buy us 2 months of time, plus get our name out there because things have been dying down. Nobody's talking about us now. How do we get our name back there in a big splash? Flash. Is that's what's going on? But I'm glad Major Pod did bring this up, and this is one of the things that they didn't, I would be screaming conspiracy theory. But they said, well, what about all that product that's coming over? What are you going to do with it? And basically they said, well, we're not sure what's going to happen with it, you know? And then they brought up, well, why don't you sell it? Because mint-on card collectors, they won't care about the legs, which is very, very true. They didn't commit to anything. They said something, but that's going to be the smoking gun here. This is going to be the Zapruder film or whatever of the JFK assassination. That's what this is going to be. If those figures actually do show up, and of course they're going to be at a discounted price, and they're going to have some kind of a note with them. You're buying these knowing the legs are going to break. If we have all that going on, okay, there's a little bit more truth to the story. But if that product never appears anywhere, or if it does appear, it better have some kind of a note with it saying these break easily, things like that, because if it doesn't have that, people are going to say, none of these are breaking. What's going on? What's happening there? So where's the product? That's going to be the million-dollar question. And then they're going to send a whole nother load of that product. Was there only one load? Is this just a red flare kind of to get publicity? Who knows there? But where does that stuff go? Is it all in Jimmy Hoffa's grave? I don't know. It's ramblings of a madman here, but it is conspiracy theory talk. We got to put the antenna. We got to put the tinfoil on. We got to ask the tough questions here. But I love that kind of stuff, and something about this is off. And I'm probably not right about any of this. Who knows? But there's something. There's more than meets the eye like Transformers right here. I can feel there's more to this story. There's a cover-up somewhere, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Probably not. But it's fun to talk about. It's a very interesting dynamic. It'll be interesting to see where this whole Power Town Series 1 situation goes to. Stay tuned to the channel for much more on that in the future. Now we move on to a little bit more wrestling, but Foco bobbleheads, we've seen these many a times as well. I have the Ultimate Warriors, a Hogan, a Macho Man in my collection. Some are really, really good. Some aren't the greatest in the world, but one I really did like this week. I'm probably not going to pick it up, but a Foco Superstar Billy Graham bobblehead. It's more of late run bobblehead of Billy Graham. I really loved Billy Graham back in the day. I love Billy Graham now. Just really, really do like the looks of this one. Like I said, probably not going to get it, but it is very, very cool. Wanted to shout that one out. And then they did announce an AJ Styles one, and a lot of people have said, hey, they made a bobblehead of you. So very funny, very funny. And it's funny, too. The last couple of weeks I've been on the road for work, and the next 6 weeks I'll be on the road for work as well. But last week, I was in a Walmart store in the Quad Cities, absolutely cold, not so beautiful this time of year. I do recommend Smash Pizza over there, though, if you're in the area. But I was over there, and I was in the necklace section looking, and one of the at the Walmart, and one of these, people that were shopping came over and looked at me in the necklace set, just looked at me, and he goes, I know you. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Where's it going to be? From my work world? From YouTube? Is it going to be? Who knows? Who knows where this is going? He says, I've seen you before. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm just kind of, I don't know what he's talking about. And he said, you look just like, or he said, are you? He first said, are you Randy from NECA? So he thought I was Randy from NECA, so I thought that was kind of funny. And then this week up in Minnesota, somebody said, hey, I know you from somewhere. I know you. You're in that band. And that was probably because I had a heavy metal shirt on. I had a leather jacket. I had my Cheap Trick shoes on there, the old checkered shoes. He probably thought I was like stopping through on a way to a gig or something like that and picking up some things. But I just said, no band, nothing like that. Just passing through town. That's all I said. But so that was kind of funny. And then this week I get the AJ Styles that, hey, this bobblehead, it looks just like you. So who knows? Maybe we'll customize one. We can get down to the bottom of it there. So that's the wrestling news. A little bit of an interesting week in the wrestling news department. Of course, Elite Series 101 did come through. Check out those reviews on the channel. So there was some news from those figures as well this week. But now we got to turn our attention to a few different things. There was a lot of different news outside of wrestling this week. Storm Collectibles, we knew this one was coming. Shao Kahn, Mortal Kombat, Big Bad Toy Store exclusive with Throne. You can get him with a Throne or save $65 or so, get him without Throne. But a lot of Mortal Kombat collectors do need that one in their collection. And once again, it is a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. Mark that down if you are interested in getting Shao Kahn and some of the Mortal Kombat Storm figures. And then, who knew it was G.I. Joe week? I had no idea it was G.I. Joe Wednesday. We were going to get all kinds of stuff, and we saw a lot of reveals on Wednesday. Some glamour shot kind of images, the renders there. No actual products yet, no actual pre-order yet, but we did see some stuff. Some lucky individuals, I passed. I saw it, I said, well, I didn't think these were up for pre-order. Then I saw a tweet or something saying, Dr. Mindbender, Serpentor, they're back up for pre-order, jump on them. I passed. I didn't need another one. I should have reached out to my dad, though. I think he might need those. But I forgot to do that, so I'm a terrible son at the end of the day. But those did go up for pre-order for those that missed them, so they're going to get you Serpentor. As we always say, Mattel, Hasbro, these companies, they want every dollar out of your wallet. They're going to find a way to get it one way or the other. They're not going to let all these eBay sellers, Mercari sellers, things like that have all the fun and all the profits. They're going to keep releasing those guys, especially when profits are struggling, units are struggling. They're going to get after that stuff, and that goes for every toy line out there right now. Nothing is safe, if you ask me. But G.I. Joe Wednesday, they did show some pictures out there, and they showed an old G.I. Joe Arctic favorite. Especially me, I was up in like negative 12-degree weather, so this fit right in when I saw this. It was Snow Job, so very cool, a deluxe Snow Job there. Not a deluxe figure, but it looks very deluxe. He's got the big parka on, he's got the skis going there, he's got the weapons, got an extra head, just really, really cool. Snow Job, a classic Arctic guy from the old G.I. Joe days, of course, as we all do know. We also saw the Steel Corps 2-pack. Don't you dare call them Steel Brigade. Valaverse Action Force has Steel Brigade, and we actually unboxed those on the channel this week. But we're going to get a 2-pack of the Steel Corps. Very interesting. It'll be an interesting comparison between the Action Force ones and the G.I. Joe ones when we do get those in hand, because I will have both sets. See which ones we like better, which ones are more detailed, things like that. But a very, very cool troop army builder. Going to see myself probably buying 2 sets of these. Very much like the Blue Ninjas we saw. No release date for any of these things. No pre-orders, anything like that, like I did say. But army builders, they're going to love this Steel Brigade pack. And it's very rare we get good guy army builders, so that's a pretty cool thing right there, if you ask me. We also saw a deluxe Scrap Iron. I think all of these guys we're talking about here, I think we kind of knew they were coming. We just hadn't seen renders before. But Scrap Iron, an OG Cobra bad guy, of course. And once again, we get a little deluxe weaponry with him. You get a little kind of mini vehicle. I don't know if that's what you want to call it. A drone, maybe. But a very, very cool one. Going to be deluxe. Probably like the Croc Master we've seen. Snake Eyes Timber. It'll probably be that price point. That kind of box packaging going on. Same thing for the Tele Viper and the Trouble Bubble. These are all army builder packs with different heads there, moving things around. I guess Scrap Iron isn't, but the Steel Brigade is, and the Tele Viper, you can have an army of Tele Vipers, and of course, a Trouble Bubble, you can have all kinds of those as well. So some cool stuff coming from the Joes. There's a lot of stuff coming this year. As they have said, they will cross over 100 figures by the end of 2023. So stay tuned for all those. You guys know I'm all in on the Joes. Can't wait to have all these in my collection. Star Wars came out with the stream. They said, hey, no pre-orders here. We're not doing pre-orders. We've heard the message from the fan base. So apparently the fan base and a lot of the complaints in the Star Wars landscape, the Star Wars collectors world, is getting through to Hasbro. They didn't put any of this on pre-order. They just said, hey, here's when it's coming out, and there's going to be no pre-orders for this, because there's, you know, at one time there was well over 100 things on pre-order if you were a Star Wars fan. So just absolutely crazy. They're trying to reset the whole thing, trying to get some of that good publicity, because Hasbro and the Star Wars team, they need a good win. They need a big win somewhere. A lot of people think we're just getting the same old, and they're getting a lot of cash grabs, and that's exactly how I'm feeling right now about Star Wars. It's probably my least favorite line to collect right now, and it's sad to say that, as Star Wars has been a part of my life basically my entire life. So very, very interesting to see where Star Wars goes. But we did see some stuff. ARC Trooper Jesse, this is going to be a Walmart exclusive. Walmart's going to have one of those collector events in March. That's where that one's going to go. Those have been okay. I've always found stuff eventually, but a lot of that stuff sells out right away, and then the pre-orders go to people, and then they hit stores like literally a year later. So will we see Jesse in 2023, or will we see him in 2024? I guess the verdict's still out on that one. One I'm very excited about, the Endor Soldier. They're doing it very much like the Empire Strikes Back Winter Soldier, the Rebel Trooper. It's going to be cool because you got 2 different faceplates, 2 different things. So it is an army builder, and you can mix them up. And we're even getting that bearded guy that a lot of people thought it was Captain Rex back in the day with Clone Wars and things. Who knows? I want to believe that too myself. But that'll be really cool, that Endor Soldier. Going to have to get a few of those. Another Jedi I'm very excited about, Ki-Adi-Mundi. Of course, you guys remember back 2020, was it? Or no, 2021. I'm getting my years mixed up. 2021 was the year of Star Wars on this channel. You guys remember that. We unboxed a Star Wars figure every single day as a bonus video. We did like 400 Star Wars unboxings in 2021 here on the channel. And we had a lot of fun with Ki-Adi-Mundi over the year that year. And of course, it was a Guinness Book of World Records breaking year, as we all do remember. So a lot of fun with him. It'll be a lot of fun. But it sounds like he's coming out in 2024. What are we doing? Don't tease us that long, Hasbro. What are we doing there? We need him. We also saw pipeline reveals. Luke and Grogu 2-pack, Reuse City probably on that one there. What's old is new again. We had Luke and Yoda, now we got Luke and Grogu. So we will get that 2-pack, of course, from The Mandalorian. And then we'll get the deluxe Darth Malgus, a very cool one, an old Sith Lord, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not super familiar with the character, but that should be a cool one there from the Star Wars team as well. So I really like the looks of those. And then Star Wars Celebration, which I believe is in London sometime soon. I'm not exactly sure. Revenge of the Jedi, Darth Vader, kind of a, not a fantasy attire, but in some ways kind of a fantasy attire. But if you want a Darth Vader in all colors of the rainbow, heck, we unboxed an all-white Darth Vader on the channel this week. You get another one here in kind of a reddish, kind of burnt black type look there, of course, from the movie poster, because it was originally going to be called Revenge of the Jedi, as most of us do know. Then we turn our attention to McFarlane Toys. Dick Grayson, an OG Dick Grayson McFarlane figure. I'm here for that, and it looks like it's a lot of reuse from the girl Robin from, what was it, The Dark Knight Returns. But I'll take that. It sounds like that's going to be sold on the McFarlane store, so I guess more to come on that in the future, but I thought that was a really cool thing. And then we saw a deep discount. We saw different leaks out there for the Masters of the Universe line, of course, Origins, and the Masterverse line, and we saw Deep Discount put up a few different listings for the Masterverse. We're getting a Ram Man, an all-time favorite of mine. Happy to get that. I'm sure that'll be a deluxe one, kind of like Beast that we see at Target right now. Grizzlor, oh, hairy bipedal creature, sign me up all day. Probably a more traditional Faker, it sounds like. I wouldn't think they'd go with the re-release of the one that really didn't sell the best about a year ago. We're seeing Whiplash, Merman, and then, of course, Buzz-Off, another old favorite of mine. So some deep characters we love in the Masters universe into the Masterverse line. And then Origins, we saw some pictures, we saw some leaks over the last couple of weeks. But it sounds like we're getting Snake Tila. We're getting a Snake Trooper, which is very cool. King Randor from the 2000 series edition. We're also getting an Origins Duplico from the Sunman group. I'm not super familiar with Sunman, as we've talked about in many reviews here on the channel, but Duplico apparently is a cohort of Sunman, so we are getting him. And then we are getting Point Dread and the Talon Fighter. That'll be an interesting price point on that one. Very, very cool to get Point Dread. I assume it will fit on Castle Grayskull. We'll see where all that goes here in the future. But it sounds like no sign of the line slowing down. I know we talked about it a few weeks ago about the Masters Universe video. Another conspiracy theory out there that the lines were going to be ending in April. They were going to be leaving planograms. We'll see. It's still a while to go till April. We do know Walmart is doing resets right now as we speak. January 30 was the start of their resets. I think Walmart's have 1 month to get their reset done, so I'm already seeing a lot of aisles cleaned up, a lot of things moved to clearance, which is nice. The problem is this clearance is not deep at all. None of the stuff at the clearance prices, they're not going to move. They need to drop pricing pretty fast, pretty rapidly, as a lot of the clearance sets in some of these Walmarts are actually bigger than the toy aisle, it looks like, half the time. So we'll see where that goes. Of course, Target doing refreshes and stuff. They usually have one around April. I think it's kind of the same thing. It might start very end of February, early March. Throughout the month of March, they refresh throughout there. So we should see that by April, and we'll see what happens with the Masters Universe. I think it's still going to be sticking around. These points do bring that home. Yeah, it's coming. It's staying. It's not going to be leaving in April, I don't think. But we'll see what happens. And then this week was an expensive week on my pocketbook. I did go all in. I can't believe it. I didn't think I was going to do it, but I did. I pulled the trigger on the brand new Mondo releases of Jubilee and the non-deluxe version of Magneto. So I did pick both of those up. Of course, I do have the Wolverine in my collection. So I guess I'm all in on the Mondo Masters Universe, all in on the Mondo X-Men animated series figures. What are we doing, Kyle? What are we doing? But I did it. I pulled the trigger on both of those. I guess I'll ask for forgiveness later. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, but I'm all in, and look for those reviews on the channel eventually down the line. And then the final piece of news, I'm looking at my notes real quick. Super 7 delays. If you pre-ordered anything via Big Bad Toy Store, you got bombarded once again with Super 7 delays. Of course, Super 7 did also update their website. It's a little interesting, though, because it looked like the Super 7 website was a little bit better dates than Big Bad Toy Store, and we've seen Super 7 stuff all over the place. As a lot of people are getting the Thunder Tank from different third-party vendors and not Super 7. Super 7 not shipping theirs yet, but the Big Bad Toy Stores, Entertainment Earth, DJC, Collectibles of the World, they're going to have these things in shipping shortly. What about those that bought from Super 7? So I played the Russian roulette, said, where am I going to order from? Super 7 saved me like $20, I think it was at the time. So I said, you know what? $20 is $20. I'll go with Super 7. Now I'm going to be last in line on the Thunder take, it looks like, but that's all right. When it gets here, it gets here. I'm okay with that. But some of the stuff like Lemmy, the Lemmy figure got delayed. I think it was originally June. Now it's into November via Big Bad Toy Store. And then they even said G.I. Joe Series 1 going to November. That can't be right because Super 7's listing it as, I think, late February, early March. And then a lot of Turtles, a lot of Simpsons, all delayed till the end of the year. So it feels to me like we're going to have a huge window with nothing Super 7. And when I say nothing, nothing that I collect Super 7, I guess. I'm still waiting for the Power Rangers. I think I pre-ordered those at Big Bad Toy Store as well. Haven't got Power Rangers Series 1. So it's really the ebbs and flows and the valleys of this one. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with some of these delays from Super 7. But hopefully we get these figures sooner than later. Hopefully it's not November, especially G.I. Joe Series 1. That's probably my most anticipated set for 2023 is G.I. Joe Series 1 Ultimates. I need those. I need Series 2. I need Flint, of course. I need Lady J, Destro. I need them all. So hopefully they all do come. Hopefully everything's good and my heart's not broken anywhere along the way. So there it is, Super 7 delays, and that's it. There is a lot going on this week. Of course, that leads us to Album of the Week this week. Not really albums, more of discussion. I guess one album we'll throw in there. Of course, most of you guys, heavy metal fans, you saw Ozzy Osbourne finally called it quits, said he can't tour anymore. Really have known that for like the last 5 years, but I think he was looking for somewhat of a miracle. Maybe a miracle man he was looking for. All you Ozzy fans get that one. But Ozzy calling it a career. I'm sure he'll do like TV performances, maybe a residency in Las Vegas, something like that. I could see that happening, obviously, but really sad to see Ozzy hanging up. Now, I've seen Ozzy with Black Sabbath a few times. I never got to see Ozzy solo. I had tickets for him on 5 different occasions throughout my life of Ozzy, and he canceled every single one of those. Especially the one that really hurt me the most was the Target Center, 2005, let's call it. I don't know if that was the right year. But it was Rob Halford opening up for Ozzy. I was so stoked for that show. And of course, that was canceled like all the other ones I try to go to. So I never got to see Ozzy solo in concert, but I did see him many times with Black Sabbath. I don't know. I like both versions, but I'm glad I saw Black Sabbath over solo Ozzy. If I had to choose between the two, seeing the original Sabbath band together was something special, and something I'll tell my great-grandkids about one day if I make it that long. We'll see. But Ozzy, we'll miss you. Album of the Week for Ozzy. I'm going to go No More Tears because I just remember that to this day. A Target I still go to. I remember getting that on cassette tape on a Sunday afternoon. Of course, Monday school, and I convinced my parents that, yes, you can buy this Ozzy tape, so I always remember that. No More Tears probably isn't my favorite album, but it is really a special time. Whenever I think of that, I think back to that trip to Target, think of getting the Macho King Hasbro at the same time, things like that. So that's always a special one to me. Of course, Zakk Wylde killing it on that one. A lot of classic songs. And then, of course, don't forget Motorhead. They got a re-release of their last album, Bad Magic, coming, but they did release a new song that was a outtake from that album. So some new Motorhead, always good for me. Of course, Greedy Bastards is the title of that one. Check out Lemmy and the Boys. Mwah. More Motorhead. We need some deep archive stuff. We need the Lemmy solo album. Hopefully that comes out in 2023. I just hope they get that out. We need more Lemmy. I need more Lemmy in my life. Just a hole is missing in my music fandom ever since the day Lemmy left us. But we'll see. So there's the albums of the week. A lot going on this week, as I did say. This is, once again, a very, very long video, so I'm going to wrap it up right here. I've jibber-jabbered enough like a young Mr. T, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you like the video. Give it the old thumbs up. Always helps the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the old notification bell. We're dangerously close. I think we just passed 26,000 subscribers, so thanks to all you guys out there. Can we get to 30,000? Let's see if we can make that happen, but thanks to each and every one of you guys that have subscribed. Hey, tell a friend. There you go. Tell a friend. Don't forget about the Patreon. We talked about the John Cena. That's the giveaway of the month. We got bonus videos, early videos to like videos like this. You do get them earlier, a day earlier. Some videos you get like 5 months earlier, and then in the Classic Superstars case, you get a year's worth way ahead of time. So a lot of content. Those Patreon members, they can tell you there's a lot of content every single day, even more than traditional YouTube. And best of all, you do support the channel. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And then don't forget to hit me up on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So another Toy News Week is in the books, and I am Jesse Ventura, and I am rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into another weekend.